Welcome to another Beer and Blades video. Except this week there's no beer. I'll explain. Earlier in the week, me and a few friends were having a chat, and the subject of Buckfast came up in conversation, and I mentioned that I'd never had any. I've thought about trying it once or twice over the years, but when the mood has taken me, I've not been able to find any in the places where I do my shopping. However, one of the lads, Phil, he got me a bottle. So that is what we're going to have a go of tonight. I'm sure you all know what Buckfast is, but we'll just give a quick resume. Buckfast tonic wine. Now, the name tonic wine does not imply health-giving or medicinal properties. Made by Benedictine monks at Buckfast Abbey in Devon, England. 15% by volume alcohol, so it's about the same as a heavy New World Cabernet Sauvignon, for example. Red wine based aperitif, and that constitutes 99.28% of the liquid in the bottle. But crucially, high caffeine content, 30 milligrams per 100 ml, which is the same amount of caffeine as you get in Red Bull. So, necking this in one session would be equivalent to a strong bottle of red wine and 3 cans of Red Bull. Probably explains why it promotes unusual behaviours in some drinkers. So, got a bit of a reputation, but at the end of the day, it's alcohol and caffeine, and if people can't cope with alcohol and caffeine and still behave in a civilised manner, that's their fault, not the booze. So what have we got? Very dark, sort of ribenery colour. Smells nice actually. I was expecting it just to smell like wine, but it smells like a mulled wine. A bit spicy, a bit fruity. Here goes nothing. Oh, I like that. It's and bearing in mind, I was expecting to be going, that's the worst thing I've ever tasted at this point, but it's nice. It's very much like a mulled wine. Lots of curranty flavours. Very sweet. Bit sugary, sticky in the mouth. But that's actually really pleasant. I think the best way to describe it is, it's a bit like red wine, but it's also got that mixed fruit flavour. Mixed fruit like you'd put in a Christmas cake. Raisins and sultanas and chopped mixed peel. So that's Buckfast tonic wine. I'm not going to neck it all tonight, because with that amount of caffeine, I'll be dancing about in the early hours, and that's not desirable. What I need to do though, as well as saying a big thank you to Phil for sourcing it for me, I will also, I think, need to raise a glass to the Reverend. If you remember the Reverend from his YouTube channels over the years, he's very fond of a glass of Buckfast. So, cheers to Phil, cheers to the Reverend, and cheers to the special branch who were party to the conversation. Now, the main part of the video, and we'll have some more of that, The main part of the video is a bit of a product test, a bit of an experiment. I recently ran out of Brasso, or rather, I didn't run out, the bottom third of the bottle dried up. And I had a recommendation to try Autosol metal polish. So if you're going to join me at the desktop, what we'll see now is my first sort of experimentation with Autosol metal polish for knife maintenance. So, cheers everybody, have a good weekend, stay safe, bottoms up. Okay, so here's the knife and the product that's new to me. I've heard the name a lot, it's got a good reputation. Made in Solingen, Germany, which is appropriate. And the knife is a Dutch army knife from 1966. A very kind gift from Dutch Knife Guy. Now when I got the polish, I had a very quick go, just a few seconds. Both sides of the blade were quite rough, but made a definite improvement on that side. So what I thought I'd do is see how far I can get, bringing a bit of shine to the rest of the knife. Now some of the tools do need a bit of work, so what I think I'll do is I'll give them a quick rub over with wet and dry paper, and then we'll get stuck in with the polish, a kitchen roll, abrasive sponge, and we'll see what we can do. So we'll come back after this break. Okay, so let's see what we've achieved. I'll just move the polish out of the way. First thing to say, one of the main things to say, is that this was not any attempt to restore the knife to anything like factory condition. If you just look at the conditions of the composite scales, that would quite clearly be a job beyond my skills. Another consideration though is when you've got very badly pitted steel, not only is it not really practical to always remove all of the pitting because of how deep it is and how much metal you would have to remove, you're also erasing the history and the character of the knife, and that's not always a good thing. So the objective here was simply to see whether I could brighten up the metalwork on this rather lovely old knife. I think I've achieved that. Starting to get a bit of a shine on the blade. I started off with 800 grit wet and dry paper, then progressed to 120 grit. No, that's the wrong way around. There. Started off with 120 grit wet and dry, progressed to 800 grit, and then the polish. So although there's still a lot of scratches on the blade, it is starting to shine a bit now. But we made more of a difference to some of the other tools, particularly the awl. Now let's see if we can get a close-up on that for you. That was particularly black most of the way round, and although it hasn't all gone, it's now, the majority of it is a satin shine, so I'm quite happy with that. And similarly on the opening tools, although we haven't got rid of all the black pitting on the can opener, on the bottle opener, the surface is starting to take on a bit of a lustre, so I'm happy with that. And finally, on the can opener kind of thing, made a big difference on there, largely because that's one of the easiest shapes on the knife to polish. One advantage of doing this has been, because of the black corrosion that was close to the scales, removing some of that has made a bit of difference to the smoothness of the action opening and closing the tools. So I'm quite impressed with this polish. It's the first attempt I've had to do anything serious with it. The bail armour's brightened up a bit, and the brass collars on the hinge pins has brightened up a bit, and also the brass liners and separator. Still pitted, still only a satin finish, but certainly brighter than it was before. So overall, I'm quite pleased with that. I don't know how much the improvement will come across on camera, but in real life I think that was worth an hour of my time, and I did enjoy doing it. One thing though, setting about the blade with the wet and dry paper with the intention of cleaning it rather than sharpening it did dull the edge, so I have had to get it back on diamond stone. Well, it didn't have to be a diamond stone because it's only a soft steel, but a few passes on a stone and then a quick strop, and that edge is back where it needs to be. So at 51 years old, because this knife was issued in 1966, I think we've given it a few more years of use yet. The scales are cracked and lifting away from the liners, but the mechanics are sound, and the steel, although it's still black and pitted in places, is very serviceable. So that is my first proper experiment with Autosol. Prefer it to Brasso. It's not as smelly. Being a paste in a tube, it's easier to work with, and very impressed. So thanks for watching.